Hey, I have here a TC Electronic Nova delay. This is the IB modified version. Now, if you're like me and you've got more than one delay, then it can get a bit annoying to tap in the delay twice, especially if you just want to do a quick adjustment. You need to do it twice. So what I'm going to do today is show you how to add the ability to have an external tap switch attached to the Nova delay, and I'll also show you how to modify it so that you can, instead of having to bend down in the middle of a live set and press this preset button, you can simply press another foot switch and it'll change the preset button. So let's get started. First of all, you need the Nova delay. You need a screwdriver with a torx screw. Let's see if the camera can focus on that one. Apparently not. All of the screws are the same size and the same configuration, so you absolutely need one of those. Need some needle nose pliers, are always handy. Soldering iron. Some solder is always good. Go for the leaded stuff because lead-free solder is just no good, and if it takes a bit of a beating, as some pedals are likely to do, instead of the joints just flexing, they'll crack, it won't, and then your modification won't work anymore. You'll also need some wire, just some standard wire which you can pick up from somewhere like an electronics store. It's pretty cheap. I got about a meter for 50 cents, 2 meters for 50 cents, sorry. And yep, it's pretty cheap. You will also need a drill with a 12mm bit, possibly 11. It really depends on the size of the component that you get. And the other thing that you'll need is a TRS or stereo jack port. Now we're going to be drilling a hole in the back here to put that in. But first I'll show you how to disassemble the unit. So first thing we need to do is remove the knobs. Now I'm just using a Leatherman with a nice fine tip thing here because these can be a little bit annoying. Just got to get it under there and push it up. There we go. They can be a little bit stubborn, so just try not to break anything. Eventually they do give. I found this feedback one is the toughest one to get off for some reason. It might be different for every unit, I don't know. There we go. Now each of these also has a little nut, so you can try and get that with a set of with a wrench or something, but I find that needle nose pliers are a bit easier simply because they're actually recessed a little bit beneath the glass on the top. So if there we go. Cool, so that one's off. Okay, so I've just fast forwarded a bit because they can be a little time consuming to get off. So once they're off, the next thing you need to do is remove the covers for your switches here. Now they just unscrew nicely. And same with there we go. The nut. Let's get that one off. Now next is on both sides, you've got these two screws here. So just going to pull those off with the torx screwdriver. Okay, so once you've unscrewed those, these two side panels just come off. So put them to the side. And the one on the other side comes off. There we go. Alrighty. Now we've got 4 screws on either side. So 4 screws on either side here, and there, there, and there. So same on both ends. All 4 of those need to come out. Okay, so once all 8 screws have been removed, this top part should come off. Now it can be a little bit, it's just stuck on there quite well naturally even without the screws, so just be careful when you're lifting it off. But there you have it. And here we have the insides of our delay pedal. Okay, so you have your power and your tap tempo switch. These are the same as normal. Now what we want to do is we want this one here to come off so that we can get underneath it. So there's 2 screws, just one here and one here, so they both need to come off. So then this just lifts up. Now you'll see where I've done my soldering here. We've added our extra jack up here. Now what you'll actually need to do when you drill in is you'll need to remove this bottom PCB as well. Now this one can be a little bit tricky to get out, but I'll show you how to do it. I won't actually do it because I don't need to again, and it's annoying. But you've got 3 screws. You've got 2 just underneath where the tap tempo is, and 1 just behind your DC jack over here. While you're drilling into the case here, you absolutely need this to come out, simply because you don't want to have your drill come through and knock out these capacitors. Or for that matter, if your drill gets caught on a piece of aluminium, for example, aluminium can be tricky drilling, you can flip the whole thing over and crack the board on there, which of course we don't want. Now to pull that off, you will also need to just undo the nuts here over your undo your nuts here just over your audio jack, but they're simple enough to undo, and then you can slide her out and pull her out. Again, take absolute care with this, because a slight crack can break your whole unit. It won't sound any good, and on top of that, you don't want to damage anything else. Alrighty, now for the actual modification. Now the preset button here, we want to send a relay to the DC jack, to the external jack. So if we take a look underneath the board, see if we can get focus on here. Oops. So you can see up the top here, you've got a couple of groups of 6 solder points. Now they correspond to each of these buttons. So what you want to do is find the one for the for your preset selector, and you just want to get one on the top row and one on the bottom row. That's all you want, and you want to solder that to the board. Now be absolutely careful again when you're soldering here, simply because if you put too much solder on the board, you might bridge a connection. Again, you're going to get some shorting, which you don't want to do. Now I've soldered the ones closest to towards the center. Now I'm not sure if that's the only set that can do it, but that set works, so stick with that. Now secondly, we've got the tap tempo switch. Now there's usually some silicone on there, or some silicone or glue or something like that on there, which holds your wires in, like on the power switch here. Now that needs to come off. I just use the needle nose pliers to pull them off. And then all you need to do is solder your 2 extra wires along with the 2 normal wires onto your 2 extra points here. And then That'll be good. Now, for this modification, I've used a TRS jack, tip ring sleeve. Now, this is the tip, this is the ring, and this is the sleeve. Now you want one cable from your preset to go to the sleeve, and you want one cable from your tap tempo to, again, you want that to go to the sleeve. What you do next depends on what you want to use more. If you want to use your tap tempo more often, I'd suggest putting that one on the tip, because all mono cables are tip and sleeve, whereas the stereo cables just add the ring in the middle. So if you're just looking to do one modification, say you just want to do the preset switch, or you just want to do the tap tempo, then attach the other cable, you solder that to the tip. In this case, I want the tap tempo to go hand in hand with other units, which means it's going to go on the tip. So for that, I've just run the other cable to the ring from the preset. And that's all you need to know. Now with the jacks, just make sure that all of the cables are on the same side. You only want them on the one side, and that'll match up with the tap tempo that you want to use. So then you just reassemble the whole thing and take it from there. Okay, so we have here the completed Nova delay. We've reassembled it. We've got the external tap tempo on the back, and I'll just show you how that works. So what you need is a TRS cable, tip ring sleeve, like this one. So we'll plug her in, and I have here this little external tap tempo which I've made, and I'll show you how to make that in my next video. So let's plug her in. So first the tap. So that's still working, and so is this tap tempo. And then we have presets. And again, this preset button still works if you like to go about it that way. Alrighty,